Hey everyone, Stuart with Franklin Hill Ventures. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to talk about the spreadsheet that I use to track all aspects of my business, inventory, profit loss, cost of goods sold, pretty much anything related to running the business is in there. I know that's a real popular topic of discussion on the Facebook group, so thought maybe it would give some people ideas on things they can do themselves if they're looking to better track their day-to-day operations of their business. Before I get started, though, wanted to give a big shout out to Lollipop Designs for the new sign right behind me here. Um, that represents our new logo. We had a sign back there before that was the logo from way back when. So I really appreciate her doing that for us. You can find her on Facebook. Just search for Lollipop Designs, and that's Lalleepop, and then the word designs. And she can hook you up. She does mugs, shirts, signs. In addition to that sign, she did this mug for us. And she's also done quite a few shirts and such, and always does a really good job. So let's go ahead and jump into the spreadsheet. Let me get my screen shared. And so here you go. So as you can see, there's lots of tabs here. The kind of the heart of the whole spreadsheet's this inventory tab. This is where, every bit of inventory that I've ever had for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years now I've been using this spreadsheet is on here. This is actually kind of a sample version of the spreadsheet. So it's a little trimmed down, so it doesn't have quite as much in it. But in any case, as you can see, just starting from the left here, the ID tab or the ID column rather, that represents, I guess, a grouping of stuff that we bought together that we want to track, how much we've made on that grouping, whether it be stuff we bought at a certain auction, a certain thrift shop for a month, certain garage sale. We don't necessarily have to put everything in a group, but it just allows us to go to this groupings tab here, and then we can see on any basically any group of stuff we bought, how we've done. As you can see on the newer stuff, we haven't necessarily made money yet, but the further back you go, typically all those we've made a profit on. So the bin, that just represents the bin storage bin or bin location in the office here where that's located. So when it sells, I know where to pull it. You'll also see stuff in an FHV bin. That represents stuff that's at one of our booths here in the Knoxville area. So you can kind of see the edge of one of the bins right back here over my shoulder. But they're the 12 by 12 by 12 cubes that I believe we got ours at Home Depot, but they work really well. Um, then we have some other kinds of shelves for oversized things as well. So inventory number and price, those only apply for things in the booth. We just keep a sequential numbering scheme going. And, that's how I print my labels for the booth. I have a mail merge set up with the spreadsheet that will print anything that has an FHV bin number and put this inventory number and price on it. Then your different columns for your inventory, quantity on hand, that means it's still in the inventory. Quantity sold would be something we've sold and moved over to cost of goods sold. And then if it's something that we broke or lost or just otherwise got rid of, it goes in the quantity written off column. So for example, let's say we sold this New Orleans mug here. We would simply, notice right now it's got $3.28 in the inventory value column. But as soon as we change this to 0 and move the quantity sold as 1, then it changes cost of goods sold to $3.28 and zeroes out the inventory value. So that will, when you look at our summary spreadsheets here in a minute, that's how it keeps track of our current inventory value and cost of goods sold for any given month. So say we sold this on the 15th, and let's say we sold it for $15. It cost us $5 to ship it. And then consignment fee, that just really represents any fees associated with the sale. Called it consignment fee. I mean, sometimes I do consign things for people. That could be the eBay fees, the Etsy fees, the 10% fees at our booth, whatever that represents. So we'll just say there was, 65 cents of fees associated with this, and then any sales tax that was collected by the marketplace. So anything eBay, Etsy, those collect, I put that in here. So let's say it was 50 cents of tax. I also have a tax. So if I sell something locally myself that I need to put on my quarterly sales taxes that I file, that would go in that column. But I really don't sell too much stuff that fits under that category because even our booth collects tax for it. And then I can also track, was this an out of state sale? Was it a sale at one of our booths? Was it something I sold myself, locally, like a Facebook meetup? In any case, we'll say this was an out of state sale. We'll say it went to Alaska just for fun. And let's say we sold this one on Etsy. And then if there's any notes that I wanted to put in there, I could. But this just allows me to run reports. How much stuff did I sell for a given date range to different states? What have I sold on Etsy versus eBay? Any of those types of things. So, but ultimately, this gives me my profit of $6.07 on this item. And then once I've sold something, I just format it with this note to format, so it's easy to look and see what I've sold. So that, in a nutshell, is how the inventory tab works, and that plays into this whole a tab for each month that I have. So here's the current month. You can see here was my beginning inventory, my ending inventory, which is based on how much inventory I added, how much I sold, anything I've written off, how much revenue I've had on inventory sales. I used to track Uber Eats and some other things in here. I really don't do much meal delivery anymore, but if I did, there's a tab for that, and that would come into here. If I, excuse me, if I've done any of my online training, I have a tab for that as well. And then that carries over into here. And then that gives me my total revenue. And then any expenses I have come from these various tabs down here. Also can project, what I'm on target to do from a revenue standpoint. And then ultimately that gives me my bottom line profit. I have a couple of profits I look at. Just my first profit's basically everything without mileage, since mileage is kind of a soft cost and really isn't, representative cash that's going out. I just look at that here in this row, and then this would be the true profit for taxes and such, along with margins, and I project a profit as well. I can also keep up with how much I've sold on all the given marketplaces I sell on. How much that I've sold at the booths so far. We can look at a completed month, and this gives you kind of my final margins that I ran. This may not be exactly what I ran because, as I mentioned, I stripped out some stuff just to make the spreadsheet smaller, but that gives you kind of an idea of how everything's tracked. The only things I have to change are what's in green. So I'll create a copy of this spreadsheet, like when August comes, change these two dates, copy my beginning inventory to be the ending inventory from the last month if the mileage rate happens to change. And then if there was any changed anything like monthly rent for the boots, I would change those. I also have a tab that actually, does a whole year to date calculation. So, this would be 2021, the full year, projected and, actual to date. Just real quick, here's the other, here's where I track mileage. Here's where I track any supplies that I bought. And the key, is by putting a date here on any of these spreadsheets, and this is as technical as I'll get in the video, but I use a lot of sum ifs. So, if something falls between these two date ranges, then it gets counted. And if it doesn't, then, it's not counted in that month. Then supplies we just looked at. Tax payments, this is really just more for my records, how much I've paid in taxes in any given months, and then any fees that I've paid. And that's mainly my booth rentals. It would be, any fees I paid to eBay, Etsy, PayPal, any ads that I've taken out. I have thought about splitting out advertising into a separate tab, since that is, when it comes to tax time, there's a specific advertising box on Schedule C. But in any case, I believe that's all that I'll talk about with this today, but hopefully this has given you some ideas of things you could do. As mentioned, I do online training. So if you're interested in having me help you set something up, or just really anything related to computers, then just give me a shout. I'm at franklinhillventures@yahoo.com. That's all one word. Or you can message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I can get back to you. I typically charge $30 an hour for that, and that's done, as I mentioned, online via Zoom call. Check out franklinhillventures.com here, and that will give you links to our social media sites as well as all the marketplaces that we sell on. Anyway, appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you next time.